Acapulco, Mexico. This is Anarchast.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I have a first-time guest coming in from New York City. It's Ira Miller. He actually is doing something called Git Guild, which looks very interesting. It's sort of about governance, and it's sort of, you can actually launch your own cryptocurrency via Git Guild. It's very interesting. I actually don't fully understand it. He's sort of just in the launch process of it. He sort of calls himself the ambassador of it. He'll actually be speaking at Anarchapulco on it, at Cyptopulco. So we'll find out more details on it there, but we'll get into a little bit here to find out what's going on. But before we get started, Ira, of course, I have to check your credentials, make sure you're a decent person. How did you become an anarchist?
I would say Ron Paul was very key in my journey to anarchy. I campaigned with Ron Paul in 2012 in Colorado, and I grew up very liberal, and this was transformative to me to understand classical liberalism and what it really means to be liberal.
So you got into it through Ron Paul, of course. So Ron Paul never calls himself an anarchist, even though he almost pretty much is.
Yeah.
But was there any progression after that sort of woke you up and made you think that, yeah, that's what I am, a voluntarist?
Yeah, around the same time, I found out about Bitcoin and got really into the technology side of it. I'm an engineer, so I built some payment processing tools with it. We launched a company called Coinapult, which is a wallet and payment processor. And Bitcoin was also very informative, and it's very experimental, what I would say, in terms of governance, and it's close to anarchy and something that's central to governments, the way that they think of themselves today, is money.
Yeah, and I know that's a big part of what Git Guild is going to be about, some sort of governance-related stuff. Why don't you tell us what is Git Guild?
So Git Guild is software to help projects and people self-organize and govern themselves. And we chose the term guild to model after the medieval guild system, where professionals would get together through mutual respect on professional topics. They would self-regulate to set the standards of architecture or masonry or whatever their profession was. And that would protect the consumers, and that would be the effective governance for that section of the economy. So through our technology, through allowing such organizations to have finances and voting and to organize themselves in a modern, efficient way, we hope to bring self-governance and self-regulation back to many, many industries.
That's very interesting. There's a lot of people working on different things like that. There's BitNation with Suzanne Tarkowski-Tempelhoff. I believe she'll be speaking at Anarchapulco or Cyptopulco, and other people working on these things. So how do you see sort of Git Guild sort of fitting into this sort of area?
So I'm an engineer, as I mentioned, and we developed some technology specifically for this. That's where the Git portion of our name comes in. Git is what we call a revision control system, so it helps you manage documents. And so your document could be a constitution or bylaws of your organization or contracts. And in our case, we also let you put a ledger, an accounting ledger in it. So it could be the accounting records of your organization, who owes what, who's owed what, and so on. So really, we'd like to work with projects like BitNation and provide them with technology.
Oh, interesting. So are you at the actual launch stage yet, or is it still in development?
The technology is still in development, but it's fully functional. It's what we call alpha. So our team is using it to manage a number of our projects, which are commercially funded, mostly business-to-business type software. We develop ATM software, payment processing software, wallets, and things like that. So far we've been using this software to manage our own projects and our own contracts. And it's reached a stage now where we think that more people can participate in our projects, and some professional organizations could reproduce it and apply our tools to their projects and contracts.
Yeah, one of the things with these sort of things that I've found is it's really hard to get your head around. So, for example, Ethereum came out and they do smart contracts. Well, how is it going to work exactly? I'm not, unlike you, I'm not a real technical person. I sort of need to see things actually working before I can get my head around exactly how this will actually all help people and transpire and actually grow. So, do you have any sort of examples? Like, for example, you said you've been actually using these things in your own business already. Do you have some examples of how that's worked?
Yeah, sure. So with software, it's really easy because open source software usually works pretty similarly to this in general. So we have people that sponsor certain features. For instance, the Dash blockchain, the actual decentralized organization itself, has contracted our team to build certain ATM software, and you can define, what goes into that, the specific features that they want to accept Dash at the ATMs, to pay out Dash at the ATMs. And you make a contract to do this specific work. You say, there's 10 features that we need to add. Here's the software that it needs to be added to. And you find qualified software guild members that are able to make those changes and willing to accept the pay that the contract says.
Yeah, it's interesting. Going to be interested to see how all these things develop. I know you said earlier that you're interested in how sort of self-governance sort of develops, and things like BitNation and things like that. Do you kind of see sort of a roadmap for how these things will develop?
Yeah, I think that it's going to start really small scale. BitNation has really been interesting to think about their passports, their marriage licenses, and it's very experimental, is what I would say. But most commerce and most governance takes part in the market and on pretty local, person-to-person level. The vendor decides whether or not to apply some tax, some regulation in the context of their interaction with a customer. And ideally, we'd just like to replace all these with self-governing, self-written laws and regulations. So if you're an architect or a software developer, you look to other people in your industry to make decisions on what standards you're going to apply and to arbitrate disputes with customers. If the building that you built is not up to code, it should be another architect that reviews it, not some government body.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating to think about. It's going to be amazing to see how all these things develop over the coming years. As you pointed out, it is really experimental. It's just people trying all these things and seeing what works. So that's going to be the exciting part.
Absolutely. And we've got great working models on local levels, and for instance, transit districts and library districts and things like that. They're basically nonprofit corporations already that these local governments are not very corrupt. They're not full of graft. They're not full of inefficiencies. And we should look at those models and figure out how we can scale them and apply them to different situations that aren't geographically centric.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Of course, at Anarchapulco and Cyptopulco, we're going to have so many interesting people. I pointed out Suzanne Tempelhoff. We're going to have people like Vit Jedlicka, who started up Liberland. So you could see him sort of as this develops, and we're going to have lots of updates on Liberland coming up. It's really developing. It's really happening. And you could just see a lot of these things sort of being, cryptocurrencies and all these sort of smart contracts all being integrated into a place like Liberland. People like Rick Felfing of the Pirate Party. They're actually getting into governments around the world now, all anarchists, anarcho-capitalists. So there's a lot going on. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see everyone all together at Anarchapulco and Cyptopulco and all the ideas and all the things going on.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've never been to Acapulco, and I've met a lot of these people here and there, but never heard them speak on their passions. So, have you been to Liberland?
No, I haven't. I've actually been offered citizenship now by Vit Jedlicka, President Jedlicka, and he actually offered me to go, I think, to Guatemala a few months ago to get my citizenship, but the timing wasn't right. So I'm thinking about going maybe this summer and actually seeing and visiting Liberland itself, if you can. They still have some Croatian police extortionists and kidnappers there, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm actually planning on trying to visit this summer.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Some of my friends went to visit, took pictures from a plane. Looks like a wonderful place.
Yeah, well, it'll be amazing if they can really get it going. So yeah, there's so many things going on, and be interesting to hear you as well at Cyptopulco. Sort of, you'll be more advanced by that point on Git Guild and what's going on, and I think you're even going to be sort of launching a number of things around that time. Is that right?
Yeah, we're planning on launching a number of our guild projects, like the CTM Guild, to accept more public developers. So we'll be recruiting from among the technical community at that point.
That's great. And for people who don't know, Anarchapulco is February 25th to 28th. It includes, on the 28th is an all blockchain cryptocurrency day called Cyptopulco. So if you register for Anarchapulco, you can go to Cyptopulco. If you have no interest at all in Anarchapulco, but you want to go to Cyptopulco, you can actually just pay for that one day. I believe it's $50 just for that one day. A lot of the local Mexican and Latin American Bitcoin community will also be coming just for that one day. That'll be February 28th, and that's when we'll hear Ira Miller and everyone else, all the great people, Roger Veer, Trace Mayer. We're going to have from Steemit, Dan Larimer, just so many amazing people involved in the space. So looking forward to seeing you down here, Ira. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about Git Guild or anything else you're doing?
No, I'm just looking forward to demoing it and, as you say, showing people what it's all about. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah,
looking forward to it. It's going to be an amazing time, as I mentioned. Just check out anarchapulco.com and you'll find all the information there. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, share down below. And that's another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
Are you coming back next year?
I wish we were already at next year so I could come back. It was so much fun.
I feel like I'm part of a big family here.
I've made so many amazing friends, instant amazing friends.
It's incredible to be around people who are so evolved.
The best part is always the people.
It's almost overwhelming. Just so many amazing people in one place.
There's always the trailblazers, and a lot of them are here.
This is now a pillar of the global community of freedom activists.
I mean, I'm filled. I feel like a champagne glass. Bubbly, renewed, festive.
A lot of people always complain, where are the women? Yeah, in Acapulco, that's where they're at.
Everybody wants to be friends. Everybody just wants to learn more about each other and really get to know each other because we already have so much in common, so why not actually be friends?
If you want to be a part of it, come and experience it because you're not going to get this experience anywhere else.
You will grow as a person.